The first match of the Arts of War tournament's second round begins with Seika against Laviniere the puppeteer. A large stone golem meets Seika in the middle of the arena. The commentator informs the crowd that Laviniere's previous opponent couldn't approach her at all because of the golem. But what strategy can she use against mages? Well, magic circles now shine brightly on the golem's body, and Laviniere appears behind her golem. She smiles and informs Seika that she had specifically upgraded her golem to battle mages, so he's good as done already. At the start of the round, Laviniere orders her golem to attack Seika. Seika just sighs and points his wand at the golem. He then summons an invisible praying mantis demon that quickly attacks the golem, slicing it apart with its claws. The commentator is amazed at Seika's tempestuous wind magic that took down the golem in an instant. Laviniere, buried in the rubble of her golem and with Seika standing over her, concedes defeat. Seika sighs in relief as he walks out of the arena. Yuki asks him why he seems so relieved, and Seika explains the summoners are actually banned from the tournament. If they noticed he summoned a demon, he would have been disqualified. Thankfully, everyone thought the invisible demon he summoned was just wind magic. Seika sits down beside Afa and Amu at the audience stands, and the two girls congratulate him. Afa, however, was worried sick and she thinks that Seika should withdraw because of Kyle's match yesterday that ended in death. Amu also asks Seika if he is planning to join the Imperial Guard if he wins, but Seika answers that he will deny the offer. Seika also points out that it's not a guarantee that he will win anyhow, but that the two girls find it hard to imagine Seika losing to anybody. Seika assures Afa that he will stay safe during the tournament, and in his mind, he's just like playing with puppies anyway, so there really is no danger. For the second match, it will be Maybelle's turn to fight. She managed to win her first fight yesterday. And for her second match, she'll be fighting Hauro, a highly skilled earth mage armed with a staff. Meanwhile, Maybelle is armed with a couple of swords strapped at her sides and back. At the start of the match, Hauro quickly aims his staff at Maybelle and shoots a rock blast at her. Maybelle draws her two swords and easily slices the rock hurtling at her. Hauro is stunned at Maybelle's skill, and he fires consecutive rock blasts at Maybelle. Maybelle in turn destroys every rock shot at her, and confidently walks toward Hauro. Hauro jumps back and starts chanting advanced magic since intermediate magic clearly doesn't work on Maybelle. Maybelle drops her swords and pulls out throwing knives. Hauro stops casting and immediately erects a rock wall to stop Maybelle. However, Maybelle's thrown knives are so powerful that they demolish the rock wall. Hauro keeps creating more rock walls, but Maybelle keeps destroying them just as quickly. In the audience, Amu is shocked at Maybelle's power, and she asks Seika what Maybelle is using. Seika explains that she is most probably using gravity magic to make her rapiers and knives far heavier than any stone, thus giving them enough power to destroy them. She isn't using it all the time though, since swinging heavy swords would be difficult, so she is most probably using it just at the moment she hits the enemy. With all this magic not working, Hauro runs back and prepares to cast another spell. Maybelle, however, draws a great sword from her back and dashes quickly toward Hauro. She then slices Hauro's staff and threatens him with her sword. Hauro realizes he's truly outmatched, so he raises his hand and concedes the match. The commentator announces the winner, and that the red-headed hero's greatsword indeed cannot be stopped. Seika gets curious why the commentator called Maybelle the hero, so Amu explains to him that Maybelle is actually the name of the second hero. And she uses the same weapon too, so she really looks the part. From her statement, Seika finally realizes something. Later that night, a mysterious stranger puts a message in a carrier pigeon and releases it. The pigeon abruptly gets attacked by an owl, and Seika appears in front of the stranger. He starts asking the stranger if he is working with the devils and what was in the message he just sent. The stranger, however, just ignores Seika and walks past him. The stranger then immediately turns around and attacks Seika. Seika, however, is faster and casts a spell, wrapping the stranger in vines and completely immobilizing him. Seika reveals he had heard the stranger talking with an information dealer earlier using his owl. He asks the stranger again what the message in the pigeon is, but the stranger just smiles and tells him that he will never talk even if he gets tortured. In response, Seika summons a new demon, a monkey-like monster called Satori. The stranger is about to ask Seika what the monster is, but the demon Satori finishes his sentence before he can. It turns out Satori can read his mind and speak it out loud. Seika starts asking the stranger questions, forcing him to think of the answers and for Satori to speak them out loud. Seika learns that the stranger is working for Baron Bull Bofus. Seika asks him some more, but the stranger starts thinking random stuff, filling Satori's answers with random noise. Nevertheless, Seika still learns that the stranger is working for the demons in the infernal lands, and that he is investigating the hero, Mabel Crane. Seika asks him why he thinks she is the hero, and he reveals that it's the prophesied year, and she also matches the prophesied age. Moreover, the assassin and the spy that was sent to the academy last year both vanished, and the information brokers also say that Mabel Crane is the hero. After questioning the stranger, Seika removes the vines and gives the stranger to Satori as a reward. Satori smiles creepily and opens his mouth wide, eating the stranger. Afterwards, Satori starts reading Seika's mind, justifying that they needed to kill the stranger since it was dangerous to let him go. Seika instantly gets cold and warns Satori to stop reading his mind or he'll kill him. Satori abruptly shakes in terror and leaves in a portal Seika created. Seika then calls down his owl and extracts the message from the pigeon it caught. Unfortunately for him, the message was written with a cipher, so Seika can't read it at all. He regrets not asking the stranger how to decode the message, but at least he deduced the Academy's plan. The Academy wants the false hero, Mabel, to win and draw all the attention. That way, the devils take their eyes off the true hero, Amu. The Academy must have learned about the demon's plan at the same time Teacher Cordell learned about Amu. After all, Teacher Cordell himself admitted that the Empire uses demon spies while demons use human spies. Currently, the devils have lost the information that Amu is the hero since Seika killed the spy and the assassin who knew who the real hero is. Yuki asks Seika if he's not at all curious as to who Mabel really is, but Seika answers that he really doesn't care, since she's also working to protect Amu. The next day, the second match of the tournament continues. The evil eye wielder, Kyle, ended his second match the same day, paralyzing his warrior opponent with his evil eye and killing him. In another match, a young knight named Renas used earth and wind magic in the first round, then fire and water magic in the second round. Seika bumps into Renas, who just finished his match, and Renas acknowledges Seika's power as a mage. It seems mages who can use 4 elements are so rare, so Renas is now the talk of the town. When his third opponent heard about it, they readily conceded, giving Renas his ticket to the semifinals. After meeting Renas, Seika walks ahead to his third match. His opponent is a necromancer who uses dead dogs as weapons. Seika just uses his earth and water magic to cast a spell, drowning the opponent in mud and securing his win. As for Mabel, she also won her third match without issue. After her match, Mabel confronts Seika. Seika congratulates Mabel for her win and voices his excitement for their matchup in the semifinals. Mabel ignores Seika's praise and frankly tells him that he should withdraw. Mabel explains that the tournament is not what Seika thinks it is, but Seika fires back that if Mabel wants to go to the finals, she has to beat him fair and square. Mabel acknowledges that Seika might be strong, but she can't afford to lose, so he might die. Seika just smirks and tells Mabel that maybe she just feels like she couldn't win. Mabel walks away wondering aloud why the Academy sent Seika in the first place, and she leaves him a warning that he should still withdraw. Meanwhile, they hear the commander outside announcing that Kyle's third opponent withdrew. Since both Kyle and Renas won their third rounds by default, their semifinal match will commence. Seika goes and accompanies Afa and Amu in the stands to watch the match. The 4-elemental mage knight Renas appears amidst the audience's cheers, while the evil eye knight Kyle stands indifferently against him. At the start of the match, Renas immediately casts a spell granting himself an evil eye tolerance buff. Amu voices her surprise that Renas can also use light magic in addition to his 4-elemental magic. Renas taunts Kyle, saying that his evil eye won't work anymore. Kyle just walks toward him, so Renas shoots a fireball at him, but it has no effect and Kyle is still walking towards him. Renas keeps casting fireballs, but Kyle just keeps facing them head on. Renas starts panicking since Kyle is not even flinching. He also tries different elemental attacks like wind, ice, or rock, but they all seem to have no effect on him. In the stand, Seika recognizes that Kyle is coating his own body with gravity magic. As with each of his steps, the stage cracks under his foot. Reynas creates an army of golems to face Kyle, but Kyle grows a number of spikes from his shadow and pierces through all of them, killing them all. It's a dark element, shadow magic. With his golems gone, Reynas charges ahead and swings his sword at Kyle, but his sword stops inches away from Kyle's face. Kyle's shadow had stabbed Reynas' own shadow. Seika recognizes it as a type of curse that seals his opponent's movements. Kyle raises his sword to kill Reynas, but a whistle loudly resounds throughout the arena. The refs have decided the match, and Kyle wins, securing his place in the finals. Kyle walks away, and Reynas, now free to move, stumbles to the ground. That night, Seika is about to sleep in his room when Yuki asks if he's going to lose tomorrow's match. Yuki then changes into her human form and cuddles with Seika. She tells him that it's been ages since she's been in her human form, so she would like to sleep beside Seika. Meanwhile, in the sky, Seika's owl is watching over their inn when it sees someone on the roof preparing to attack. Seika immediately tackles Yuki out of the way, just before the roof falls and someone crashes down into Seika's bed. Seika smiles and greets Maybell. Maybell throws a throwing knife at Seika, which he dodges. Maybell then tackles him out the window and into the streets below. She throws another knife at Seika, but he rolls away and casts a spell in an attempt to bind Maybell in vines. Maybell takes out a dagger and cuts away the vines before stabbing Seika in the shoulder. Unfortunately, Seika disappears in a puff of smoke, and all that's left on Maybell's knife is a piece of talisman. From behind her, Seika casts another spell and pushes Maybell back. Seika recognizes Maybell's toughness, and since she's out for his blood, it would be risky to let her go. Out of nowhere, a drunk stumbles out of an alley and disrupts the two's battle. Maybell throws a knife at the drunk, forcing him to duck and distracting Seika. When Seika looks back at her, she's gone. Yuki asks Seika what just happened, but Seika just tells her it was a preview of tomorrow's semifinals.